Lady Parts Justice League, you're on tour. You're traveling across a van, or you're traveling in a van across the country for this tour called the Vagical Mystery Tour.
That's right.
Tell me about it.
So when I was like, what am I going to do? So after I did a whole bunch of TV stuff, somebody asked me to write a book, and it was right in 2012. And so I'm from Minnesota originally, so I went back home to write my book, and all these laws just started happening in every state legislature around the country, just like curbing access to abortion, shutting down clinics. And it was startling because it was 27 states in about 6 months where clinics were just closing down. And I was like, I got to do something. These people are dying. So I decided to drive back to Brooklyn, where I live, in a van with my dogs. And so I called up Planned Parenthood and some independent clinics and said, I want to come and do fundraisers. And, when somebody with 2 dogs in a van calls you up, that feels safe. So they were like, okay. And so I went to visit the clinics, and they were just under siege. There was protesters constantly. They were just like full of patients trying to figure out the patient load because the clinics were closing. And they were just like, thank you for coming here. No one comes to visit us. People run away from us. They treat us like we're toxic. And I just couldn't believe it. I'm somebody who had an abortion when I was young, and I was in an abusive relationship, and it was really important that I did not saddle myself in that. And so I called up a bunch of comics and writer friends of mine and creative types, and I said, you guys, we have to do something, because all of us have used the services of these clinics, either for birth control or abortion, and we all kind of walked away. And I'm looking around a room of really successful people saying, you are successful because you got to control your destiny.
Right.
So at first I thought we were just going to make a bunch of videos that expose these laws and be sort of like the Funny or Die of like feminism and reproductive rights. And then I realized that that wasn't enough. And so what we decided to do was figure out a way to help these clinics that felt abandoned. So we make the videos, we put them out there, and then we travel and we go to a clinic, find out what they need. So we've done like building fences, yard work, like painting their driveway to reestablish the parking lines, graphic design work. So we're kind of this like catch-all thing. And then we go do a comedy show in a town. And after the show, we do a talk back with one of the providers and one of the activists. And then we have a conversation, and then the audience hears what the clinic needs. And then they sign up right there at our show to help be a handyman, to help escort patients. And we're growing community in states where these folks just don't have time to stop and like say, can anybody help us? So we decided to do it. Started in Atlanta. We were like in Jackson, Mississippi, Birmingham, Little Rock, Wichita. And now we're coming up through Chicago. We're going to go to St. Louis, Indianapolis, Ohio, blah, blah. We're just going. I don't even know where.
Obviously, one of the goals of this organization seems to be keeping these services open and accessible to people who need it. But what about changing minds of people who are not on your political side? Is that something that you try to do, or do you feel that that's sort of a futile thing to do?
I mean, for me, it's like people who dig their heels in about how they feel about abortion, it's pretty hard to change their mind. You know, that comes through a lot of time and talk and effort. But if we can encourage people who feel comfortable to tell their abortion stories, for example, to help grow a storytelling component so that those people might hear from someone they know, put a human face on it, that might change hearts and minds. But really, I think what we're trying to do is reset the priority for people who haven't really thought about what abortion access means to them on a human rights issue, on an economic issue, why we prioritize it. I think it's about getting the fence sitters and getting people who have kind of been complacent re-energized to mobilize for the clinics. Because a politician's not going to do anything to change laws unless they see a direct result. And if they see people supporting these clinics, and if they see that there's political capital and political ramifications if they don't, then we can start making some change.